Hi, we are the audience and we are here for Shane's speech.
Target. So who likes shopping at Target here?
Me.
Yeah, I thought so. I certainly like shopping there, and I try every day not to think about how much money I've spent there over the years. Like all of you, I recognize that Target provides a unique shopping experience, and it's different from many other large retailers. Um, they offer their own appealing brands, but you may be wondering how Target cultivates the particular atmosphere that leads to this kind of experience. Now, I happen to be both a regular Target shopper and a longtime employee of the company, actually. So in this way, I can provide a very specific and detailed picture of how much Target's environment is rooted in nonverbal communication and atmosphere. And I also set out to try to answer the following question. As retail as a whole moves more and more online, how is Target hoping to maintain the quantity of customers it has as new shopping habits are now leaving them without that in-person experience? So first I'll tell you about the experience as a customer, or as Target refers to them, a guest. And then I'll elaborate more on that customer experience from the perspective of an employee or a team member. And then I'll explain how that experience comes from a mixture of training and just the overall company culture as well. And then lastly, I'll address how significant the loss of in-store experience is for a company like Target. So let's begin by painting a picture of my most recent shopping experience at Target to buy some groceries and as well as a gift and a card for my dad for Father's Day. So before you even go into the store, you're in the parking lot. It's a mess of pedestrians and cars like any other busy retail location. But the red spheres in front of the entrance and the red shopping cars kind of subconsciously prime you to start thinking that you're about to have a targeted shopping experience. And that's one of the key elements of Target's whole image, the color red. Arguably, it's even more important than their bullseye logo. Just seeing the red around you as you shop just brings out the feelings of a Target visit. Now, as explained in the article, the psychology of red branding, when to use it and when to avoid it, on Steph Corrigan's Designs website on April 8th, red is one of the boldest colors and it can elicit strong emotions. However, it needs to be used very intentionally as there is a risk of red creating feelings of aggressiveness or overwhelm. Most importantly though, red can encourage impulse decisions, which is ideal for a retail company notorious for getting people to buy things they don't really need. Aside from the prominent red, once inside the store, the other main visual background is a very clean white. This evokes a sense of cleanliness and sort of a feeling of maybe you're at an upscale retail location. Now, as I make my way around the store, I'm taking in the sounds. There's pop music playing over the intercom. You hear the overlapping conversations of other guests. And there's a toddler fussing at his mom a few aisles down. You see employees buzzing around in their red shirts, pushing carts of products to stock or bringing up guests at the registers. You can hear the chatter of their walkie-talkies and the beeps and chimes of their scanners. But one thing is for sure, this place feels alive. Now, for the sake of this research, I decided that I can't find the item I'm looking for, so I decided to ask an employee. I see two employees nearby, a young woman stocking a shelf and a young man breaking down boxes. I go to the woman for help. Now I'm going to pause here for a moment because I thought to myself only after the fact, why did I go to her instead of the other one? And after giving some thought, I think what it came down to was the kind of body language they were exhibiting. So the young man looked a little bit disheveled. His movements were like, quick and erratic, and his face was a little tense, like maybe he was having a stressful day. The woman, on the other hand, looked more calm and relaxed, and I believe this made her more approachable. So going back to the story, when I did get her attention, she was stocking her shelf, and she turned her head to look at me, made eye contact, and had a slight smile. She politely pointed me in the right direction of what I was looking for, and at this point she turned her whole body towards me and towards where I needed to go. Her voice was upbeat and bright, and she was also quick and efficient because, undoubtedly she wanted to get back to her work at some point. I thanked her, and she said, "No problem," in like a more cheery kind of amused kind of way. So now let's look back on that interaction now with the added knowledge of someone who works at Target, a team member. So one of Target's core principles and what sets it apart from other large retailers is their focus on great customer service. Now this ties into their greater mission statement to help, which is to help all families discover the joy of everyday life. This statement, along with the rest of their purpose, which is detailed on their website, communicates that they are selling not just their products, but an experience. So to that end, they've strived to create a workplace culture where communication is more open and honest, and where team leads are trained to interact with their team members in a more positive and casual manner. This is meant to build a culture where team members are themselves feeling more positive and friendly. And then this culture is then supplemented by more specific directives to all the team leads and team members that they are supposed to follow, such as making sure to greet guests as they walk by, asking them if they need help, turning away from their work to address them, and making sure they're doing their best to leave the guests having a positive experience. Let's talk about the reality though, because it's true that Target does place much more emphasis on guest service than a place like Walmart or Aldi, who focus on other things. But Target has a lot of employees around the country, and it's not realistic to expect them all to be the same exceptional conversationalists and super friendly helpers. In my experience over the years, asking a team member for help, you can get a wide range of responses that can be incredibly kind and generous, or simply a short, curt, kind of abrasive response, and anything in between. Now, while it's okay for a team member to not have all the answers or not know how to help you necessarily, it's the nonverbal communication that really makes the biggest impact on the guest experience. For example, that team member who helped me on my visit, she turned to look at me with a friendly expression. She could have kept looking at her work while just giving me a, short answer and technically giving me the correct information, but it would have left me feeling like maybe I bothered her or it wasn't worth her time. And that would have stuck with me more than if she just didn't know where something was. Often when I'm helping a guest, what I'll try to do is, set down what I'm working on and completely turn to them. And this tells me that I'm invested in what they're saying and that I'm ready to help. I'll also sometimes walk with them to the item that they're trying to find if explaining it wouldn't be too clear. Or I take a moment with them to look things up on my little handheld device with them. And this just, while making some small talk maybe. And this just tells them that non-verbally that I'm willing to spend the time with them. And it's a sort of a time management sort of non-verbal skill. So all this being said, we have to talk about the fact that this atmosphere isn't necessarily to everyone's preference. Many people would prefer a more quick, efficient answer and would rather the employees just ignore them unless they specifically ask for help. And the other aspects of the environment could be too much as well. The bright lights with the white floors, coupled with music playing overhead, that someone might find just grating. So it won't be to everyone's taste. But I think most people who set foot in Target already know what kind of experience they're going to get, and they choose that. They choose that experience. So what happens when that experience slowly begins to vanish? As shopping moves more and more online, especially after the pandemic, Target has had to make some major shifts in strategy to remaining an appealing place to shop online, even if it couldn't always offer the lowest prices necessarily. As explained in the Forbes article, what Target is doing right in the pandemic era, e-commerce done right, What Target is doing right in the pandemic era, e-commerce race, by Kunal Chopra in February of 2022. Target did with its online storefront what it did with its physical stores, which provide a unique experience. Now, shopping at Target online does lack the personal interactions with other people and the sounds like the music playing overhead, but it retains some key identifying features. You still have that bold red against a background of stark white, and the ads and pictures you'll see on the app often feature friendly-looking people with smiling faces. All of this, along with Target's many specialty brands, will hopefully keep guests coming back for a long time. Unfortunately, as explained On ABC7's website in the report, Target foot traffic down 10 consecutive weeks amid company shift away from DEI policies from April 23rd. Target has seen a consistent dip in sales over the last several months. Their history of being more guest-focused, inclusive retailer ultimately created a major backlash for them when they decided to move away from these DEI policies. For many longtime guests, that decision soured the whole Target experience for them, as if every smile and friendly face was just a corporate facade with no authenticity behind it. It's a fascinating case study of how major corporate decisions can also be a form of nonverbal communication because they're setting the message, and not just to one guest one-on-one, but to every guest. So in the end, Target's own identity as a caring and friendly retailer has, in a way, been its own undoing recently. They spent many years crafting a particular audiovisual environment supplemented with positive messaging, not fully realizing the high bar their own customers were holding them to. Now, every customer will have their own feelings and how much this policy change affects their Target experience, if they're even aware of it at all. But by explaining how Target functions on a nonverbal level, I hope to have effectively informed you enough to make your own decisions on what the Target experience means to you. I think we all still like shopping at Target, but maybe I'll become better about not spending so much money there in the future.